that's sent in. All right, so let's jump into it. First, introduction. So this is going to be a product management led webinar today. So this is representative of a good core cross section of our product management team here at Cirrus Insight. As I said before, my name is Mike Baldwin. I oversee product management and engineering, sort of end-to-end product delivery for Cirrus Insight. I'm also joined today by Jacob Rex, who heads up our product and design, and then also Cody Stokes, who is a product manager on the team. And Jacob and Cody specifically have been directly involved with our buyer signals functionality very closely, and all of the recent enhancements and improvements that we're going to go through today. So we got the right people on the line to talk to you about buyer signals today. We will, just for expectation setting, focus. I'm going to talk a little bit up front about what we're doing and why we're doing it. Jacob's going to get into specifics around the enhancements, and then Cody's going to perform a live demo in product. And then we'll have Q&A at the end and wrap things up and get everybody back to your normally scheduled day. So thank you again for spending some time with us today. But let's go ahead and get started. Not to be overly basic with it, but what is a buyer signal? I'm assuming that most of you are very familiar with this if you're here today. But obviously, buyer signal, just in general, is any piece of data that's going to be used to help signal interest or intent. Really is used as a mean of getting some insights into where a buyer, a prospect, or a customer looking for expansion, whatever the context might be, but mentally, where are they in their buying journey and their decision process. It's taking that data as a behavioral or contextual cue from often their interaction with systems that we have access to. So it could be a single source of data, it could be multiple sources of data, but it's really critical because it's going to help a salesperson or a sales team, a sales organization better do a lot of things, right? So prioritize the outreach that they're conducting, tailor the messaging that they're using as part of their outreach, and better optimize their time and their timing for making sure that the right actions, the right messages, the right touch points hit the buyer at the right point as to where they are in their journey. So it really, when it's done well, it can help convert sales engagement, sales motions from being reactive, kind of wait and see type endeavors to really proactive, optimized engagements. The data itself is often used in a number of different ways, from lead scoring to pipeline forecasting. But I think most directly it's around personalization and optimization of the sales motion. So different types of signals are out there, and I'm sure you're familiar with many of these. Email opens, who's opening the email? Are they opening once or twice? Or is it even getting opened at all? Links, content within the email, are they replying to the email? Different types of activity metrics and signals can come from different sources, but in aggregate, they're going to be very powerful for solving for a number of very real problems in the sales process. So starting with uncertainty, right? I'm sending things out. I don't know what the engagement factor is. I don't know how serious they are, how interested they are. So moving from uncertainty to clarity around indicators of interest. Data could be in different places, read in different ways, bringing important data together to be able to just not see data, but be able to gain insights from it. Optimization of time. Every salesperson, sales team is a collection of scarce resources, if you will. And so enabling the salespeople to be able to make the most of the time that they have for focusing on the opportunities that most matter in terms of driving revenue, and also managing risk. Right? If opportunities fall off the rail, knowing that sooner than later, if things are going cold or slowing down, again, allowing the salesperson to tailor their action plan, their messaging, and their timing, and ultimately their focus. So all of that fairly basic, and I'm sure that you guys are very familiar with a lot of that as a concept up front, but you can see how buyer signals as a data source are extremely critical to maximizing the impact of a sales motion at an individual salesperson's level, as well as across an organization at scale. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about why we're talking about this, why we're talking about buyer signals. Buyer signals as a feature has been within the Cirrus Insight product and platform for a long time, and it's been a very important part of our product for that time. We are focused on right now, and we're going through a process of introducing some enhancements and user experience improvements for a couple of reasons. One, we recognize that this is a critical piece of the Cirrus Insight offer, and it has to be done well to be able to really take us to the next level, which I would say is the foundation for a bigger vision. You may have heard of us talk about meeting AI and the meeting AI vision, which is really an end-to-end management approach to an entire sales process or sales workflow, combining traditional software with AI functionality that's going to be able to pull data in from multiple sources, aggregate, present, synthesize, predict, and ultimately turn data into actionable workflows that take the load off of the individual salesperson. So within a meeting AI framework, if you will, we're very focused on the meeting being a core element of relationship-based sales motions. So buyer signals can help you to get more meetings, make sure that those meetings are of better quality, they're a better use of your time as a salesperson, and ultimately to drive more revenue by shortening sales cycles, but also moving critical decision points, both on the buyer and seller side, up earlier in the cycle. So it's a better use of time for everybody involved. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we're trying to gather all of the data, right, structured and unstructured from multiple sources. That's going to lend to these kinds of buyer signal type engagement insights that can ultimately be translated into actions for driving that revenue. So that's sort of saying a lot, but I just wanted to put that out there for context. This is why we're thinking about buyer signals right now. It's really important to us for current product, and it's even more important to us as a feeder and an enabler into our vision with where we're going with meeting AI. So all of that said, let's talk about what it is that we're doing today. I'm going to now hand it over to Jacob Rex, and he's going to walk us through some of the new features.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Thanks for the introduction. I'm Jacob. I'm the head of product and design, and I'll be walking through some of the features in this new buyer signal experience as just sort of an intro to the demo. So let's dive right in. So this is the compose experience today. You pull up the sidebar, start writing an email, you're going to see something like this. And there was a couple different things that we wanted to tackle here in this new effort. So one of those things is we wanted to make sure you actually had the ability to independently track things if you wanted to. And you may remember that in order to track links, you had to also track opens. So we wanted to tackle that right away. Another thing you might remember from the experience is, you're writing your email, you're adding links. You need to update the tracking in there if you add a new link, and that had to be done manually. So that was another thing we were looking at if we can improve as well. And then finally, this interface with the banner at the top, we're starting to move away from that on other screens, and we wanted to see if we could bring all of this together with a new Compose experience. So let's take a look at what that looks like to start. Yeah, so now you get this nice header section at the top that very clearly tells you what you're doing in the sidebar. You can actually check each of these boxes independently. One thing we're really excited about for Gmail specifically is you don't have to manually refresh the email anymore to update the tracking for links. It'll actually do that a single time on send. And we're working on something pretty similar for Outlook as well. The performance and accuracy of the signals is also being improved. We've kind of done some work kind of under the hood to improve that. And the features that I'm talking about here with the independent tracking and these updates and things like that, that'll be available for Email Blast as well. So being able to track link clicks without opens and all that kind of good stuff is making its way there also. So the signals themselves, you've sent your email. you pull it up. You have the sidebar open. This is what you see today. So you can see at a glance the different engagements you got. So how many opens and replies and clicks that you're getting. And then down below, you have a panel you can expand to actually see those engagements as sort of an activity feed, giving you data about like when it happened, what the activity was, the location of the server for where that was. And that is really interesting, but this is an engagement at the email level, you know? So if you want to kind of poke around your inbox and get an idea, you have to do a little bit of digging. So we wanted to see if we could address that and consolidate all that data into one place. Um, so let's take a look at this next screen here. So this is something we're really excited about. So we've created a new tab in the sidebar that we're calling buyer signals, and you can see all of these different engagements at a glance. We really wanted to make sure this was in the sidebar as well, so that it's right, you know, where you're spending your day and spending most of your time. So you'll be able to pull this up, look back on the last 7 days, and see how things are going. So how many emails were sent over that period? How many of them are getting engagements, and what kind of engagements are they getting? You can even filter this to see the engagements that matter to you. And there's this great little button at the bottom, open in Cirrus Insight, that'll give you an even more advanced view. So let's take a look at that. So from the sidebar, you'll be able to click that button or just pull up your dashboard and head to this new analytics app where you'll see buyer signals. And now you get a huge view. You can go back up to 90 days, so you can analyze trends over time. You can really break down the different sort of engagements you're getting. And you're able to interact with this filtering, sorting, finding particular contacts or subjects or things that you want to look up. It's very, very powerful. And I think next we're going to take a look at it in detail and do a quick little demo for you. So with that, I'll pass it off to Cody.
Well, thank you so much. I'll go ahead and get my screen shared here, and we'll get that demo going.
I did want to
Okay.
say, Cody, if I can,
Yes.
while you're teeing up there, and I neglected to say this earlier, but if any of what we're showing to you today is of interest, please feel free. I think we're gonna drop a link in the chat, and we're also gonna show a QR code in a couple slides from now of how to just let us know that you're interested, because we will be rolling out all these buyer signals enhancements over time. And if you have buyer signals today as part of your plan, that you'll see these enhancements. They will automatically be deployed to, rolled out to you over time. But if you're interested in seeing any of it sooner, then please let us know that, and we'll reach out to you to talk about how we might be able to make that happen.
Yes. Thanks, Mike. Yep. And I put a link in the chat. cirrusinsight.com/try signals. Just submit your interest there, and we'll be back in touch with you as soon as possible. So here we are starting out, just demonstrating the experience. So I have an email that I've already sent to Jacob, and I'm going to do a little demo of what the interface looks like when sending an email here in just a sec. But as you can see, some things that we have done here, we have enhanced this experience a little bit as well. So all of our counters and everything are kind of what you've been used to seeing, as well as our timeline of activity. And if this is new to you, this is how we are displaying our signals inside of the sidebar. This is how we originally had built it. And then we'll get to the signals tab here in just a moment, but we can visualize all this stuff on a per email basis, but we wanted to go deeper than that. And that's why we wanted to go and build a analytics or signals app that can aggregate this data and show it to you over time. Now the compose experience is very simple, just like Jacob was showing. So I have this email here. I'm sending it to Jacob and Mike, and I'm going to go ahead and, as you can see here, link clicks is controllable independently now, which is great. So if I'm not interested in tracking opens for some reason, then I can easily just, check that off, or just only have, link clicks, enabled. So personal user preference there. And some things just to note here that we've also been doing, it's on the back end, is we've used entirely new architecture and infrastructure, so that the performance is much improved and opens are much more accurate than before. We also have a malicious and suspicious link tracking or detection that will alert somebody who is composing an email that they may have inserted a link that is potentially spammy or malicious, and that will pop up a message to them inside of the sidebar if they try to send out that link. Giving them an opportunity to review that link and make sure that everything looks good. So we're kind of cutting down on possible scenarios where maybe a website got compromised and maybe you're not aware of that. So I'm going to go ahead and send this email out to Jacob and Mike, and they're going to just open up that email for me, and they're going to respond to that message as well. They're going to click on the link that's in there. So they're going to take care of all those parts. So I went ahead and sent that email out, and we'll start tracking activity on there. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and pop over to my Signals tab, and this here is showing you the last 7 days of activity. And this starting with the most recent day being today. So you start from this day and then you look back 6 additional days. And so you're getting that kind of week timeline view real quick, real easy. I can mouse over this to see, the signal activity for that particular day. These are filters at the top as well. So if I click on this, it's showing me on what days was I getting replies. It shows the emails that have had replies in this list. And these percentages are based on the number of emails that were replied to compared to the number of emails that were sent in this example. Same is true for clicks and also opens, of course. And as you can see, these columns here represent each signal type. So you always have a quick visual of what's going on. And this list by default, when you have it on sends, it sorts by the most recently sent email. So as you can see, this email here that I had sent to Jacob and Mike, it's here at the very top. And as you can see, it's already been opened twice. They've already clicked on the links, and I'm just waiting for the reply signals to come in here. And so Jacob has already responded, so we'll pick up that response and we'll also display here in just a second. Now, what we also have here is at the very bottom of this, like Jacob pointed out, that we renamed this to View More, just so inside the context of seeing more buyer signals, you can just click here, and this takes you to the dashboard view. And like Jacob mentioned, this goes out to 90 days. Of activity, so you can see a lot of detailed information at a very quick glance. My personal preference, I said the 2 weeks, but you might have sales cycles that are longer, and you may have emails of people that you've been communicating with for much longer than 2 weeks. So you may have a personal preference. And what's really cool about this is we remember what your view preference is. So if you set it to 90, that's what it's going to use whenever you jump back to this page. So you can leave it and come back, and you'll have that same experience. We are showing this graph before, in the sidebar, it just had one line at a time, but we are in this larger view able to show all the signals on a given day. So here on the 10th, I see that I sent 2 emails and I've had a lot of opens, a few replies, and a few clicks. So I know, like, on that day, I was getting a lot of activity. And I can go back to those days and look at, who did I send that to? Who do I need to follow up with? And these cards at the top kind of explain exactly the same thing that you saw previously on the inside of the sidebar. And we also have our filters, which will just show the emails that have signals counted in them for that particular message. The search will search for email addresses as well as subjects. So if I'm looking for a particular person or a particular message I've sent, I can go ahead and just put that in there and dig that message back up. We also allow you to sort. The default sort when you come here is by last opened. So if you want to see the emails that have been interacted with most recently, this is how you would find those. So you can change the default sort to whatever you want it. You can also sort opens, replies, and clicks. And we're going to add in the future a date sent column in here as well, which you can sort. So that's coming here very soon. The columns themselves, you can pin columns. So if you want to see a column just remaining stationary on that left side pinned, or even a couple or all of them, whatever you want, you can decide to configure that here. You can also hide columns that may not be relevant to you. So if you don't care about location, for example, you can just hide it to get your view set up to however you want. So we're trying to give you a lot more flexibility there and how you can view items. Mousing over emails that have or recipient column that has more than one recipient will show you all the other recipients on that message. So that's how you can see your messages that have had multiple people on them. The user settings that originally existed in the sidebar settings have now moved into this app. So as a user, if I come here and click on settings, all of those that used to exist elsewhere have been consolidated into this view. So whenever you need to make adjustments to anything buyer signal related, you would just come here. The settings also still exist in your sidebar settings, so nothing changes there. And you can configure your defaults. You can, like reply tracking is on by default, email tracking is on by default. So when I start composing an email, the boxes are already checked. We're going to do something similar for link clicks here very soon. So when you start composing, you can have any or all of them enabled. So that way you don't have to remember to do anything. Administrators, they also saw their settings move. So I'll just jump here really quick. So if you're an administrator and you go to your org settings, you'll see a new buyer signals navigation option. And in here, you have all the same settings that you were used to seeing previously. They've just been organized and consolidated into this view as well. And just like the link click settings, the preferences themselves, those are also going to get admin level controls, just like you see for email tracking. So that's coming at the same time. So you will be able to have more granular controls as a user and an admin for all three signal types that we provide. So with that, I will go ahead and conclude this quick demonstration. I will pass it back over to Mike, and thank you all very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Cody. I will jump back into here. That was a great end-to-end demonstration of the new functionality and enhancements. Thank you very much, Cody. Appreciate it. So as I mentioned at the start of the demo, and I'll probably reiterate this again before we wrap the webinar. We are in the process of rolling out buyer signals in the immediate future, but we're going to be doing it through a phase process, a stage process. So by different segments or cohorts, if you will, of current customers, and then it'll be available ultimately in full product for everybody. But we are phasing it, and so it will happen over the course of some time throughout the next roughly through the next quarter. So if you are interested in getting access to it sooner than later, we'd certainly be interested in talking with you directly. If you're on the older platform, the 19 platform, and you want to talk to us about getting access to it sooner, please give us a shout. If you have unique use cases or ideas or are looking for things specifically in buyer signals today or thoughts around future workflows or functionality, we would definitely like to talk with you too. So there's a couple different ways that you can do this. One, if you scan the QR code on the slide, it's going to take you to a short form. That form is also available at the URL cirrusinside.com/try signals. cirrusinside.com/try signals. Or you can always email us at product@cirrusinsight.com. So we'd love to hear from you for any and all of those reasons, and please just reach out and give us a shout. All right, with that, I'm going to hand it back to Jacob. And as I said back at the beginning of the slide deck, we have not just immediate term enhancements for buyer signals as we've shown you today, but some others that I would consider near term that we're planning on making in the near term future, and then also a bigger vision of where buyer signals plays a strategic role in our meeting AI vision. So all of those things are moving forward, but I'm going to hand it back to Jacob right now to talk about sort of what's up in the near future, what's next for buyer signals.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Just a couple things we wanted to touch on. There's already a lot to love about the new buyer signal experience, but we have a ton of other ideas of things that we want to add. So one of the things that we're looking at is, so you have your dashboard where you can see all of your signals at a glance. Well, we want to broaden that so that sales managers are able to see the buyer signals from their whole team. So how's everybody doing? How many opens are getting? How is it breaking down, across my team? Things like that. When it comes to email blasts, like we said, you are able to get those individual email uh, signals, but we want to break it down at the email blast level. So how did specific blasts perform? Which ones are doing better if you're testing different kinds of subjects or different content and things like that. Similarly with templates, how are your templates performing? What are your highest performing templates, right? Which ones get the most opens and clicks, things like that. And we're also looking back at how much history we can give you on. We're exploring going back up to maybe a year, so you can kind of get those historical insights. But lots of things on deck, so stay tuned for that.
Great. Thank you so much, Jacob. All right. I think that is it for the formalized content that we wanted to present today. Hopefully that's of interest for you guys and you're as excited about it as we are. I will say just personally, I'm very excited because getting this buyer signals, that even just this first tranche of work in motion and delivered here is we just know it's going to be enabling for a lot of your organizations. We've been hearing a lot of feedback and had a lot of conversations with current customers on really both platforms around this. So exciting, very exciting to see it materialize and see it start to roll out. So as I said before, scan the QR code, cirrusinsight.com/try signals, fill out the form, let us know if you're interested in talking. We'd love to hear from you. But for right now, we will go ahead and open it up for Q&A. I think I saw a couple questions come in during the webinar. Wanted to see if there's any more. Now's a great time to use that Q&A function within Zoom to submit your questions or your thoughts.
Cool. Yeah, and it looks like we have a couple here. Don asked, how soon will the new Outlook functionality be available? Great question, Don. We are making some updates to our app's infrastructure to support Graph API, which our new buyer signals relies on. So we are in the process with Microsoft right now to get those updates finalized. So we believe that June is a viable time frame for which the Outlook experience can be available, but we'll certainly reach out as soon as that we get confirmation on that. If you haven't already, go ahead and use that link in the chat, the Try Signals link, to submit that form, and then we will touch base with you and make sure that we get this to you as soon as possible. Let's see. We have one about the set reply tracking default state. With email blast, it's actually very interesting. So email blast signals are enabled by default inside of the blast when you're creating it, and today they're it kind of operates its own signals itself, and we are working on plans to build controls specifically for each email blast that gets created. Today, essentially, the signals are just enabled on the blasts, which we will track and display the metrics of inside of the signals tab on the sidebar and the dashboard itself. So you'll be able to see that information, but we do have enhancements coming to buyer signals so that you have more granular controls on what signals are being used for each blast that gets sent out.
Here's another interesting question. Are there any notifications for opens and clicks? So one thing we're exploring right now is actually bringing notifications broadly to the sidebar and to the dashboard. And one of the notifications we're really excited about are these buyer signals. So somebody opens an email or clicks a link and you get notified in the app. You see the little bell icon light up and you can act right away. So yeah, stay tuned for updates there. Good question.
And it looks like the last question I see here is, do I need to do anything to get access to the new buyer signals functionality? And the answer to that is no. If you are on a plan today, if you're on a Cirrus Insight plan that includes buyer signals, you do not need to do anything. It will be rolled out to you over time. And the only caveat, as I've already mentioned, is that we're going to be phasing that in over the course of roughly about the next quarter or so. And we're doing that around specific, as Cody mentioned to alluded to, platform differences and just other groupings of organizations based on technology and need. So that will happen, and no, it is it will come to you if you are already on a plan that where it's enabled. So that's all the questions that we see in the queue. Like I said, if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to email us at product@cirrusinsight.com. But for now, I think that wraps it up for